Hello, this is Rue from the Plutonian podcast. I'm here to bring the truth to you. And a cool hat that I made. Anyways, I'm not sure if I'm going to wear this thing the whole time, but I mean, might as well come out of the closet as a tin hat, because that's how people are going to think about me after hearing some of the things that I have to say once I get myself established. Can you hear me? Is the audio well? Also, excuse me for one moment. This is rude, but unprofessional. But anyway. Okay, I'm back. Pardon me. So, anyways, it's a wizard tinfoil hat. Hopefully, everything you guys can hear everything. Sorry for the late start here and the inconsistency. Let me get this plugged in here. Ow. Hello. All right. So I don't think it's working with the mic. I might have to end the stream. I just hate being not ready because I know I don't like that when I'm watching somebody's content. So hopefully maybe we can just get this shit plugged with a marker so you can skip the intro. Oh man, computer is not liking this right now. All right, so first order of business is the connection between the invisible matrix. Now, this is something I wrote. And it goes a little something like this. Man, this thing is annoying me. There we go. There are innumerable connections that connect all things in existence. Modern physicists and ancient legends point to a singular truth named and unnamed. The grand unification theory and the Tao are just a couple of the names that man has conjured up in an attempt to describe what is this sense of life and existing in this terrestrialness. We seem to be made of two things, the spiritual and the material, but even that is an illusion. There is one thing, the primordial, uncreated substrate of infinite potentiality. We are just a drop of that. That substrate has been felt and experienced by some of the great ones that are remembered throughout history, remarked by the wisdom that has been preserved. The human family is like a tree with mighty roots that spread out and form this massive stretch of preserved wisdom and guidance throughout the ages. We have forgotten about the great truth that we are consciousness embodied, creating a tree of life and a tree of knowledge together. The human family has been growing larger, but it seems like to some that there is an overgrowth because we live on a small world. We have been trained to believe that there is not any way for us to live together because there's not enough for everyone. That's kind of like the intro there, and I feel like that's true, especially nowadays. People really do have a hard time believing that there's enough for all of us. There's enough for everyone to go around. because we're taught lack in the school systems. We're taught to submit to authority and believe whatever somebody in a position of authority above you says without questioning it. And that's obvious because when anyone tries to question the narrative of what's happened the past 18 months, they're scoffed at and ridiculed and called a conspiracy theorist. But I've noticed a very interesting connection with the Pluto Scorpio generation, and I haven't heard any astrologers pointing this out. What I've noticed is that Pluto is the government, Scorpio has to do with the sting, right? You put those two together and you have this, this toxic injection that most people don't want. Despite what the media tells you, honestly, most people don't want it. Most people are not for that. And it doesn't mean if you're not for that, you're a Trump supporter or a radical right-winger. It just means that most people got behind Trump because he kind of acted like he was against the vaccine while the whole time he was rolling out Operation Warp Speed. But, most people are unwilling to admit that they were lied to. And yeah, that's a trigger point for a lot of people. Just even mentioning Trump, it's a trigger thing for me. I do think it's really crazy how the Pluto and Scorpio generation is facing a mass inoculation. And it's not even FDA approved. But I do find that most astrologers actually pander to the official narrative of, hey, this is what we got to do to get back to normal, to get back to healthy, to protect Nana. But it's like the craziest thing is like Scorpio, the sign is about like subterfuge. Like Scorpio is a very precise tactician, but Scorpio won't charge you like Aries head on and smash you in the head with a sword or whatever, put a gun in your face. No, Scorpio's the type to get revenge or go behind your back or do it in a subtle way. That's what Scorpio does. So this vaccine that the government's trying to force on to people, they're doing it in a coercive way, like offering $1 million lotteries and incentivizing employees that work for massive corporations like Kroger and Amazon by offering them money to get it. That confuses me. It's confounding to me that if this were so dangerous, people would be lining up. Like, you wouldn't have to coerce people to do it. But that's neither here nor there, because people, once they've taken a position, the egos are so strong and catalyzed in our culture, Western society, that they can't even harbor two ideas at the same time. Like, I like cognitive dissonance. I like it when somebody introduces an idea to me and it makes me think and it gives me mental strain. I'm like, holy shit, this is like an extremely valid point. Like, I have to reconsider my position, but we don't have any real thinkers left, any free thinkers. It's sad. It is very sad. It's also sad that I didn't play some intro music. I wanted to play some Dove FX. My girlfriend showed me that, and I've always loved it since then. But that's the basic connection that I noticed between Pluto and Scorpio in our generation. We're actually in a hero generation. And it's just, to me, I just noticed that right away. I'm like, wow. So the government's trying to inject us with something that says Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio all over it. And I really find it sad that most astrologers aren't speaking the truth about the government bullshit right now. But hopefully the millennials wake up. Hopefully the Pluto and Scorpio generation wakes up, especially people that are 30, turning 33 this year. It's crazy because we have this dignified position of Pluto Scorpio, and then anyone born in 88, the year that Joe Biden first ran for president, is a Earth dragon. Dragons are the most sought year to be born in Asian culture. But I have some interesting notes for the planet Pluto. The man that discovered Pluto was actually a farmer, and he used to dig holes in the ground and build his own telescopes and observe the planet's celestial orbs, objects, and make drawings of them. And he would also so the reason why I would dig those holes, so there would be no wind interference, and probably to help keep it clean. But it's very interesting. Clyde Tombaugh, I think that's how you say it. He saw a lot of UFOs too. He saw a lot of celestial objects that were unexplained, and he was an advocate of unidentified flying objects. He also discovered 15 asteroids in the Kepler belt. And what he was looking for was the mysterious planet X, because there was a wobble in Jupiter's orbit, or not Jupiter, Uranus and Neptune had a wobble in their orbit. So they suspected there was an object in the Kepler belt large enough to disrupt the objects, the planet's celestial bodies. So what's interesting also is he had a moon conjunct Pluto in Scorpio at 17 degrees. Or no, 13 degrees, but well, I feel like, yeah, so he had a moon conjunct Scorpio, and then Pluto, the day that it was discovered, the moon was also in Scorpio. It's crazy. My moon's in Scorpio. And a lot of the alignments for Pluto's discovery and the guy that discovered Pluto, there's a lot of aspects pertaining to my chart. So I saw this as a sign. His Mars is conjunct my Jupiter. My Jupiter is in Aries. His Mars is in Aries in the last degree. Another thing that's really crazy, and I touched on it a little bit, is that he was also from a hero generation. So there's 4 generations and an 80-year cycle. And you start out with a hero, obviously. I don't know what it starts with, but this is the order: hero, artist, prophet, and nomad. And I feel like millennials like to butt heads with a lot of the baby boomers from the Pluto and Leo generation, because that's a square. And that's why I feel like a lot of the baby boomers have a hard time accepting that their government is corrupted now, even though it's right in their face, because they have that Leo. It's like the government was so damn good, took care of them. They have so much pride in America, this kingly pride, this lion pride, this Leo pride in their government. Whereas the Scorpio knows we're on the underbelly now of it. We see all the darkness and corruption and sexual perversion and human trafficking and the drugs coming in and all this. All the information's out there. It's just getting everybody on the same page. The government's fucked you over through money too, and taxes. Most people, if you're like me, you work 8 hours a day. You have to drive about an hour a day. So that's at least 9 hours of your day taken out just a kings. But I came from, he had no running hot water or electricity. He started out, and I was living like that just not too long ago. But there's a lot of motifs with this Pluto Scorpio shit happen for our generation, because I view the nation's culture as toxic, and I view the injection as toxic. And I feel like it's time to detox. This government, this culture needs to be detoxified. And this culture is dying right now. This system is dying, and it's in need of a rebirth. But unfortunately, the real heroes are sleeping right now, and the people that really need to step up in their power, me being one of them. You know, a lot of this has to do with immunity too, getting immunity through that jab. Whereas, you know, some people are gonna be naturally immune to it, like me, and then some people are gonna be so afraid that they need to get immunized. And then there's this fear aspect. Are you afraid to be forcefully injected? Or are you afraid to get sick and die of COVID? These are the fears that they're playing on the people that don't want to get vaxxed and the people that have already gotten vaxxed. And they're turning them in again. They're turning us against each other. They're turning the people that have gotten vaxxed against the people that haven't, and vice versa. They want you to believe that the people that are trusting in their immune system and the natural way of things, and that aren't afraid against the people afraid, they're leading them to believe that's what's causing this rise in cases and all that shit, when originally they were saying it was from China in a bat. Somebody dated a bat. But damn, this poster's pissing me off. And then they were censoring that shit on Facebook, but now they took it off, and it's like, okay, it's okay to be mad at China now. And it's like, I understand politics now and the government. It's pretty simple. The politicians, poly is multiple, a tick is a blood-sucking parasite. So that's basically all you need to know. But the funny thing is, besides that, is that they just put a politician up there to give someone, the people, the masses, someone to point at, someone to blame. And that's really all it is. A politician is just someone for the people to be mad at, someone to blame for their problems. Because if there was nobody to blame, and people weren't expecting the shit to get taken care of for them, they might start taking care of shit themselves and figuring shit out for themselves and cleaning up their own damn mess. You know, and this is really an invisible / visible dichotomy here, because some people, it's plain as day what's going on. Some people can see that they're printing the US dollar into oblivion. Some people can see the corruption, but to others, it's completely, they could never even fathom it. So there's this Plutonian thing where Scorpio thing likes to hide, you know, and not be revealed. And then Pluto had the helmet of invisibility. Speaking of which, let's put on some mojo power here. I don't know if I can do my headphones and this at the same time. What's up? My custom-made RFID blocking hat. They will not be mind me during this podcast. The other thing about Scorpio is it has to do with power. The government has to do with power. And most people feel powerless in the face of such a daunting task like restructuring the government, restructuring our fundamental ideologies. And you know, so many people are calling for a revolution, and I'm like, yo, you guys know a revolution is a circle. We're going to wind all the way around that circle and end up where we started. What I'm calling for is a revolution. Soul rebels are needed right now. And that's kind of where I try to draw the line without not getting too crazy or outspoken. And I want to keep things spiritual as much as I can, and give people hope and something of value, you know. But it was very interesting to notice that when Pluto was discovered, there was almost an exact square between Uranus and Aries and Saturn and Capricorn. And we actually experienced a similar square between Uranus and Saturn a few years back. And that was when Obama was in the office and the stock market crashed. We had that little housing bubble pop. The other crazy thing is that Scorpio is the sign after partnership. So once you've partnered up with somebody and that's been established, then it's time to blend and like osmosis, seeking it's when things get integrated and transmuted and consumed. You consummation, like, having sex. It's consummating the union. But it also has, I think it has this like parasitic aspect too of like, that is the osmosis. It's like the government is so thick and saturated into people's minds that it's like a good thing, this tyrannical fascist government. It's going to turn into fascism. If we all just sit back and watch, let them keep injecting people and get that all the way through the masses. You think those vaccines are going to be free forever? I already know the tests cost money. That's fascism, because the government's forcing you to do it, to have a job, to participate in society. But it's really crazy how the government is really grifters. They're mooches. Those people in the government don't produce any goods. They have a monopoly on force, like the police. They'll just use force if they can't get their way. But it is a poison. We are being poisoned very badly in this day and age, whether it's the food, whether it's the shit we put into our minds, or the shit we listen to, the shit that we eat. So many people are addicted to sex. I'm just pointing out things that the millennials, the Pluto Scorpio generation, have formed. That's how we've been formed. We've been hypersexualized. A lot of people were traumatized from 9/11, and we had this whole rebirth of patriotism. Young kids going over to Iraq for blood oil. The Iraqi war, shock and awe, sexualization, the hyperization of sexualization, and the hyperization of sensations. There are so many sensations. Look, but we got things right here in my hands. It's literally a 5 or 10 minute walk away from me to go spend some money on something to stimulate me and to activate my sensations. And then the final thing is the hyperization of information. There is no more need to conceal information anymore. The truth is in plain sight. The problem is it's fucking surrounded by shit information and shit for people to consume. So they just put out excess of information where people don't know where to look. And when they start to think for themselves and try to look, they literally get a headache. It's very sad. Very sad. All right. Well, now that I've gone over roughly, hopefully you find that interesting. Just like, synchronicities where the man that found it on February 18th, which was on the cusp of Pisces, but it was in Aquarius, the sun, but he was also an Aquarius himself. Very interesting. He was a farmer and he drew pictures of Mars to get accepted. He was also a military man himself. Pardon me. Oh, look at that. I gotta thank you. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Please, it'll help. I actually have to ask for help now. But consistency is the main key. Getting out this show out every week, sticking to my guns and forcing myself to be a better man and to apply myself in a different way is very important. It's important for everyone to challenge themselves. Public speaking is challenging. YouTube is challenging. Speaking the truth is very dangerous in this day and age because you are not going to be liked by many people. But I will give you this. I am the one astrologer that you probably know that isn't out there miming the mainstream narrative. And I also plan on teaching Gnostic astrology and astrology that has to do with the key of life and Hebrew, whatever I know, whatever I learn. And that's the thing I need to do is make some astrology videos because that was how I started. But moving on, the second thing I wanted to discuss, what is the title here anyways? I don't really have it in the title, but the main point that people need to really come to understand when it comes to religion is that the symbols or the avatars or the basically the Christ or the Krishna or the Buddha, those are all titles that those personalities were awarded for being rebellious, spiritually rebellious, psychologically rebellious. They were going against the established norm of the current paradigm. They were trying to break down the system that was already there and replace it with something more relevant, more useful, more liberating, if you will. And that's the way I've used Jesus Christ. And one of the reasons why I look up to that personality is because whether he was real or not, I tend to believe he was real because I feel like if there was anyone who was enlightened right now and they were changing the world like that, they would probably kill him. That's how I feel because that's how crazy people are these days. But he was a true rebel. You read the story of Christ in the Bible, depending on how you read it literally or symbolically, esoterically, but either way, he was a rebel. He's rebelling against the unconsciousness, the darkness, and the ego, and the Romans. The Romans were, I guess, well, no, it was actually his own kind, the Jewish, that actually hung him, that set him out to his death because he went to trial under Pilate and he was playing the word games with him. You know, he's trying to ask him who he is, if he was the Son of God. And he's like, it's an interesting story. And then he's like, okay, well, we'll just ask your people what they want to do with you. And the people actually chose to free Barabbas. He was a known killer, thief. They chose to let the criminal go and take the saint and torture him. Now, do I believe that Christ died for your sins on the cross? Yes, but I don't think that's going to save your soul like your traditional Christian does. Now, what I believe is that Christ being crucified is a symbol, but like the literal Christ being crucified is a fucking lesson for you to learn that you do have to be willing to die for something. For one, you have to carry your cross every day. Every day is suffering. You're going to suffer somehow. That's what the first noble truth is in Buddhism. Speaking of another spiritual rebel. But I feel like the lesson of Christ dying next to two other crooks is very important for us to remember. And just know that if you are a traditional Christian that happen to click on this, doesn't mean you have to give up all your beliefs or change your ways, but just know that it's not that easy. You don't just get into heaven because Jesus died. It's like you have to actually I believe that consciousness, that personality should be embodied. One of the first things Christ taught was his main lesson, even in like esoteric or exoteric, the public teaching or the private, the hidden teaching. It's forgiveness is very important. And that's another main lesson that Christ, was written in the books for. But he was a rebel with 12 disciples. And that's why kind of tying into Judas, the betrayer. That's a astrotheological symbol for Scorpio. Coming from the Pluto and Scorpio generation, I noticed that this generation had the same placement of the American patriots that fought the Revolutionary War against the British Crown. Lo and behold, coronavirus means crown virus. Kind of interesting. It's like a new god. All bowed to the COVID. Oh boy. Not doing very good here. It's better than nothing, though. All right. So, again, one thing that I really like to try to point out to people, and one thing that was amazing to discover along my research and unfoldment as a person, was that there are two basic teachings. There's a public teaching, which is known as the EXO, EXO, like exoskeleton, like a bug, because it has its shell, its skeleton on its outside. That means the public, exoteric is the public teaching. The teaching that your minister on Sunday will tell you, hey, Jesus Christ died for your sins, so you don't have to live a life burning eternally in hell. That's the exoteric. Now, esoteric means the inside teaching, this secret teaching, the hidden teaching, the occult teaching. Once I discovered that there are there's two stories, two sides to every story. Basically, that helped me realize a lot why people have a hard time grasping anything deeper than the mundane, than the material. But that story that you'll hear in the public teaching about how Christ died for your sins and he's the one and only God and he's the only way to God, and if you don't believe in him, then you're going to hell. That's all what religion uses to divide people. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. But what the secret teaching is it's profound on many different levels. And really, ultimately, what the secret teaching is for how you are going to interpret it. But there is a general consensus when you look at the Bible with astrology in it, because there were astrologers in the Bible. So that's a conflict of interest for me right there. Whenever I find a conflict of interest, I investigate it. But that's why I originally started really reading the Bible and getting into the Bible and studying these deeper teachings, because they didn't make sense. I used to say, hey, does that mean the Dalai Lama is going to hell because he doesn't believe in Jesus? And there was a Baptist guy teaching me Bible study, and he said, yes. He was probably right, though, because the Dalai Lama is shilling the vax. So, anyways, one of the things that I've learned in esoteric Christianity is that, in astrotheology, is that Christ represents the sun. That's why on the solstice, winter, in the northern hemisphere, it dies on the Northern Cross. This is all from Zeitgeist. It's still on YouTube. It literally hovers there for 3 days in suspension. Now, what I think it's doing, I think it's making a loop, or it's maybe moving so slow that it's imperceptible. But I think it's making a loop like the figure eight, the sideways figure eight. And I think that's what it always does. When it reaches the summer solstice, it does the same thing in the southern hemisphere. And then in wintertime, the northern hemisphere, winter solstice, it does that. It makes a loop, and it starts coming back south to heat us up. That's why celebrate Christmas, but it's really celebrating the death of the old year and the rebirth of the new year. But it's really dark. It's Saturnalia. It's the black sun. That's the black sun. That's what Saturn is. But the 12 disciples each represent a zodiac sign. And a body part, a planet, a color. I'm trying to see if I have the... No, I do not have the prophet's name for who all the prophets are. But I do know Judas was Scorpio because he was the betrayer. And he had a silver tongue. And esoterically, astrotheologically, there's a lot of people on the internet starting to teach astrotheology and catch on to that. But it's crazy because I feel like I was onto that before I even knew what it was called. But I always look into the Bible, and whenever it would say waters, I would think of this, the sexual waters because of esoteric Gnostic Christianity. And it's like, waters is the living life force that we have within us, and that is you're suspended in the womb, and that's where we came from, was this primordial soup of darkness, the ether. So that's what I think about. Some of the things I think about when I think of esoteric Christianity. It's very interesting. I noticed right away that in Revelations they're talking about the signs and the shit falling from the heavens, and how there was astrologers in there, and I did not click. But the real secret teaching of Jesus Christ is that he did have a wife. No normal man would not have a woman. I know some men are extremely independent and spiritual and just atypical and don't want or need a woman or desire a woman. Sometimes they're so focused on what they're going to achieve that they don't ever get a woman. I know there is men like that, but your average dude does have a girl or wants a girl. And then from my understanding, to do the spiritual work, you have to have a wife. That's why I'm so adamant about my relationships and a perfectionist and try so hard. Expect so much because I'm trying to build a spiritual union. But the Immaculate Conception of Christ, Mary not having been a virgin and birthing Christ, that was a spiritual symbol for her being a pure being and an initiate, and also her being birthing, an idea. Howdy. Good shit. Got the army shirt on. What's up, Steven? Yeah, so I was just over here talking about Mary from the Bible and how she could have a kid without sex. It's pretty interesting to look at it from the mystical point of view, which is that she actually gave birth to an idea. That's the way I see it. Jesus Christ was just an idea, a pure soul. And who knows what he did for the first 33 years of his life, but the intention for them was to have a child, but not in your traditional way. Now, this is a really like strange thing to hear, and I think it's still strange when I hear it, but according to the people that made these posters behind me, fornication is any time you have sex and you ejaculate. So even if you did that to have kids, you're still a fornicator. supposedly the angels and gods are supposed to guide, like one cell, they will guide into the womb, and there's no need kid. That is the Immaculate Conception of Jesus. When people set out to do that, and they are really true to their spiritual practice and their intention, I think it's possible. I think you could give birth to an idea. You could give birth to a spiritual being. That's the and at least the best of my knowledge, as far as I've looked into it. And yeah, I mean, you want to get technical, sure, the Spirit of God, like it says in the Bible, He aided that. It was engendered with the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit. She was engendered with it, and that's really all any of us can do, is try to engender our highest self, our most compassionate and less ego-driven selves. That's really all any of us can do. And that's what I would like to promote, and just to have people, set their ego at the door when they come, when they listen, if they do. Yeah, I'm impregnated in the fourth dimension, yo. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I would say it was something that came down from higher, but, the fourth dimension is the etheric, I reckon. It's the etheric body and the vital body in the realm of Yesod, which makes sense. It's right here on the tree of life. The ninth sphere is representative of sex. Yesod, it's the etheric and vital body. The reason why you have an etheric body and a vital body is because what I believe is that our blood is basically liquefied solar energy, and it's the strength of our blood that keeps us alive. But we only have, it's like a fire, right? It can only burn for so long. So our blood is what circulates and rejuvenates us and consumes all the nutrients and expels all the waste. It's the cells in our blood that is the liquid fire. So that's why we have the etheric vital body. That's our energy body. But the blood and the physical body are just a physical third dimension manifestation of that. So, I mean, technically, we're all already multidimensional beings. It's just that we haven't awakened to these higher dimensions of consciousness and enlightenment. We're stuck all the way down here in Malkuth, which is the physical body in the physical world, made up of 4 elements and enclosed by the ether, the firmament. End of the day, no one has to be on the earth, and we're all stuck. His plan: be kind to others, treat your neighbors how you treat others, like you'd want to be treated. The golden rule. And people forget that constantly. Really, it's really no harder than that. It's like, hell, I'll even quote the fucking Dalai Lama, who's shilling the vax. Sorry, I don't want to always talk about the vax or always focus on it. It's just I lost all faith in the Dalai Lama when he's like, get shot, please. Yes. You will be healthy. You're doing like, hey, dude, check this out, Steven. I got to show you something real quick. You like it? Yeah, it's it's the sorting hat from Harry Potter. It's Gandalf's fucking, it gives me plus 20 to intellect and minus 20 radiation waves to my brain. I've actually cut back on drinking a hell of a lot. And actually, I hadn't drank for like 2 weeks before last weekend, so I'm doing good. Sorry, I'm talking to somebody on Facebook over here. I'm live streaming off of 2 platforms. It might be weird. And yeah, I'm trying to envision myself in 10 years because that's what this man told me. It's weird how we make friends through the internet. It's a whole, wow, that was weird. I looked at the clock stream and it was 44:44. Synchronicities. Because a lot of people don't really fathom what the internet is. It's it's like adding a whole nother layer, a whole new dimension, another dimension to reality. I mean, this This type of energy was already there. It is etheric. It's what I originally opened with, was like the invisible connection between us all. That's like the internet. But now we have something we call the internet. But there is already the matrix, the internet, the aether, the dark matter, whatever you want to call it, the photons, the electrons. Those are all already there. It's just now we have this weird internet where you can create alter egos and make money and store information, but it's treacherous too. It is something that we have to learn to control, or otherwise it's going to control us. But there's good conversation there to talk about Yesod, the foundation. That's your foundation. It's the very bottom. If you overlay this over the tree of life, Yesod goes over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Right there over the genitals. And then these Hod and Netzah, those are also have to do with, I believe those are overlays over the ovaries. And that's a symbol for the woman. And then when you combine it with the man, you have the Star of David, the downward pointing one, and then, or the upward, and then those are the testes. It's kind of weird. You can see so many symbols in just that little area right there. And really those very, very ancient teaching there, Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. I don't even know if I'm able to speak on it or what have you. But I do think it's important that people do start acknowledging that the spiritual teachers that we all look up to, Krishna, Buddha, Christ, Gandhi, Muhammad Ali, whoever the fuck your idol is. No, not Muhammad Ali. He could be your idol, but he wasn't like super spiritual. I don't know. Maybe he was. Look, the point is that I view Christ and Buddha as soul rebels. They were rebels. Buddha was trying to tear down Brahmanism and the caste system and that old stagnant belief system where you have to fast and you have to suffer and you have to meditate and you have to deprive yourself of all these sensual sense perception inputs to reach enlightenment. And he realized that was the extreme far left, the right pillar, the pillar of severity right here. And then the other one is the pillar of mercy, where you give in to all of it. You're giving in to every single desire and you're fulfilling every single desire. But what Buddha taught us is to live right here in the middle path, where you're not craving to fulfill any sense perception or sensation, that you're not attached to a sensation or a person. This is like the attachment side, or the repelling side, the repulsive side. You're not trying to avoid pain. You're not trying to live in comfort, live in your rut. That's what the other path is, the extreme other path. But what you do is, what he taught was the middle way, the middle path, which was you don't crave or you don't avoid, you just observe the middle path and you watch it all come through. And then once you are creating a space, you have that ability to say no to whatever it is you're trying to resist, because a lot of people are trying to accomplish something and resist something. He says, most religions are like male enhancement. They all say the best, but none of them work. Yeah, they say it's the best, but yeah, and that's like, and it sucks. It's like, I used to think I could create a new religion based off of astrology. Astrology's always been here, but it's like, not everyone's going to believe in astrology. And it's like, you can't make it a religion, because once it's a religion, it's corrupted in a way. Religare in Latin, religion means to bind. You're supposed to be bound to God or spirit or source through your religion, but they've used religion to bind people's souls, their ego. They've used religion to crystallize suffering. It's a very sad thing to see in this day and age. And I often wonder how we're going to get out of this unlimited money printing game. A lot of people think Bitcoin's the answer and gold's the answer, but I say, you know what? Get yourself some skills, get yourself some seeds. Don't forget, food, water, and skills are going to be the most important and valuable things to have. Get good at something. And if you can, stack gold, get Bitcoin. Sure, you can make money off of it. It just pumped up 8,000 this week. So last time I checked. Well, shit. I don't really have much else to say. I feel like I'm going to look back on this this podcast and laugh at myself because I'm so scatterbrained and I'm drinking a beer and I'm losing my voice and I'm tired in my sweaty army shirt. Man, that roof is hard work. Doing a 6-pitch roof with 5/8 plywood. I've been stuck on that roof for about 3.5 weeks, it seemed like. Steven says from Facebook, just my opinion, religion is nothing more than a guideline to be a generally nice person. But we as people independently are energy and emotional. I agree. It is and generally to be, teach people what's good and what's right. But unfortunately, nice means stupid or ignorant. And that's what a lot of people are. And, it's really sad because people should have those morals and that compass, that moral compass, that morality comes from within. But we are morally compromised in this culture here in the West. We have been demoralized. Yes, giving birth to ideas is very real and every day. And it's my idea to make a podcast show once a week about something. And I did a little bit of research on Pluto and I gave some information, but I feel like once I start really getting more in tune with myself, I'll have more to speak on and more to offer and some astrology videos. But I did put that sticker on my truck. So now people might actually check this out, and I want to have new content and I want to have things relative to my area. It's pretty sad when the governor of Ohio literally has to say that he ran ad campaigns last year in the summertime to get people to wear masks. And it's just, I'll go back to the original point of logic here is if it were so deadly, why would you have to advertise for people to do it? No, if it was really a risk, people wouldn't need to be coerced. Like they'd be wanting to wear, if there was a real danger, people aren't that stupid. But apparently people are and aren't. It's just blows my mind. A lot of crazy shit in Ohio. Supposedly they're laxing the gun laws here. Got a lot of rednecks that shouldn't like that. I don't give a fuck. I got Smith and Wesson right here. Anyways, I think that's going to be about it for this live stream podcast. I definitely should have recorded this audio so I could post it on Spotify, but I did not. So that's going to take some extra time. Kind of like a high-tech hillbilly, except I'm not that high-tech. I try to be. I haven't figured out how to get paid in Bitcoins, though, with my computer. I am live streaming one day at a time. Well, I will see you guys next week. I will probably end up start doing a little astrological weather report, since that's what astrologers do. Focus on the symbolism. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't really figured this out yet. But I really appreciate all the support that I get. If you have anything to say, any questions, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and share, please. God bless everyone. Don't forget, we're all part of the damn human family here. We're just really dysfunctional. God bless everyone. And stream. And I don't